So Kamala Harris has raised, I don't know how much money for her campaign, and it's a problem. It's a problem because she is trying to get votes based off of, I don't know, Megan the Stallion shaking her ass in front of kids. She literally had her at, I don't know, one of her rallies. So you're not trying to get people to vote for you just based on your merit or your policies. You're trying to get some Gen Z voters who are 19 who could care less what happens in this country to vote for you just because Megan the Stallion is up there. By the way, that name makes zero sense unless Megan the Stallion has a penis. You're a woman and you're calling yourself a stallion? Clearly you've never been to a rodeo. Stallions have penises, not mares, which is a female horse, which is what you would be if you were a horse. Sometimes, dude. Anyways, Kamala is becoming an even bigger problem for us because we put out a video the other day about how she said she was just going to put in an executive action to confiscate people's guns. You can't do it. It's unconstitutional, but she thinks that she's going to do it anyways. And we found a clip of her just getting very aggressive about how she's willing to use lists that were illegally made by our government, whether through credit card transactions, whether through just getting lists from gun shops, whatever it may be. She's planning on using those lists to send police officers or law enforcement to your door for them to knock on your door and take your guns. Not a joke. Listen to this.
Now, one candidate who has very similar plans to what you have when it comes to guns never really seems to talk about the process of perhaps banning certain guns. Does it involve law enforcement essentially going to people's houses looking for specific banned guns? Does it involve perhaps creating a database of people who are legal gun owners? I mean, what kind of process are we talking about here?
Well, first of all, as a point of distinction, I believe I'm the only one who has said that she will take executive action. So mine is not just a plan with some plan for legislation. I'm actually prepared to take executive action to put in place rules that improve this situation. I also have, as part of my background and experience, and we put resources into allowing law enforcement to actually knock on the doors of people who were on two lists. A list where they had been found by a court to be a danger to themselves and others, and were on a list where they were precluded and prohibited from owning a gun because of a conviction that prohibited that ownership.
All right, so we got a couple of problems here, Kamala. Let's start with the second one you said. You plan on putting an executive order in for law enforcement to be able to knock on someone's door who is a prohibited possessor. Do you need me to repeat that? It's already a law. No one who truly believes in the Second Amendment believes in any gun laws, but y'all already made laws surrounding this. There is a list of people who can't own guns according to you. So how is that new? Why would you need an executive order to do that? If they're a prohibited possessor, you can just get a warrant and take them, or try to at least. No, you're saying this and explaining it this way so you can just do it to whoever you want. It's not about prohibited possessors. If you guys really cared about that, you guys would have tactical teams in downtown Chicago, St. Louis, LA, New York, sorting it all out. But you don't, because you don't care about the prohibited possessor. You care about the morally good person because you just want America disarmed. Now let's talk about the second point you brought up. Have been found by a court to be a danger to themselves and others. Do you really think that holds up? What is considered a dangerous person? If I get mad one day and I start yelling, am I a dangerous person? Well, I guess it depends who you ask. If you ask some fairy-ass liberal, yes, they would say yes. They would say, oh man, that guy, he got upset, so he shouldn't have guns. How do you come up with a system for this? You don't. You have this in place so you can literally do this to anyone. You can make up some BS and you can say, well, this person's a danger to themselves, so we need to go take their guns. Now, this kind of tyranny is one of the reasons why owning a gun, it's not enough. If you do have to use your gun in self-defense, what's the second best thing they can do to you besides just taking your guns before you even get in a self-defense situation. They'll make an example out of you. They'll say it wasn't self-defense. They'll charge you, make you spend probably over 100 grand in legal fees just to defend your self-defense. It's straight tyranny. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so happy to be partnered with attorneys on retainer. They are there to help us defend against this tyranny. If you shoot someone in self-defense, they have a 24/7 hotline that you call. You have attorney-client privilege from the moment they pick up. They cover everything from your bail hearing to your bail, any questioning, any deals before a trial. If not, the trial expert witnesses. And if you take a deal or you're convicted, they're not asking for their money back like some of these other companies have in their contracts. Unfortunately, in America, the fight is not over as soon as you successfully defend yourself against a guy with a gun. The fight has just begun. And I know for me, I would way rather spend a little bit every month than have to shell out over $100,000 just to pay for attorneys for my self-defense. So we're giving you $50 off. Go join the AOR family. Make sure you're prepared.
And those lists were combined, and then we sent law enforcement out to take those guns. Because, listen, we have to deal with this on all levels. But we have to do this with a sense of urgency, and we have to act. Enough with the talk. And again, I really have to stress, lawful gun ownership, that is one thing. We're talking about something else.
All right, Kamala, let me help you here. There is no such thing as lawful gun ownership. It's something that's made up out of thin air. You understand that the Second Amendment says shall not be infringed, so you either believe in that or you don't. Now, here's the part that I don't buy. She's saying that she needs a court order in order to go take one of these guns from a person who's been deemed a dangerous person. But then listen to what she says after that.
But we have to do this with a sense of urgency, and we have to act. Enough with the talk.
We really have to act, and there has to be urgency. Does that sound like a person who's going to sit there and wait for a court order? How are you going to do this on a mass level if every single person you're getting a warrant or a court order for? You're not. This is all just a front for your mass confiscation attempt.
And we have to stop conflating and blending all these issues, because they are separate and they are different. And the bottom line is this: our children should not be in fear of going to a community festival or going to school or going with their parents shopping on a Saturday afternoon and in fear that there's going to be some mass shooters shooting up the place. And let's talk about assault weapons for a moment.
I don't know one family that has seen a mass shooting on the news that is saying, oh, I'm scared to take my kids to the mall because what if there's a mass shooter? That would be like every American sitting there and worrying, okay, my flight that's coming up, am I gonna just be the one person who gets in a crash and just letting it ruin your life? Am I gonna have a heart attack today and just letting it consume you and worry you to death? Is that how Americans should live? That's the equivalent of being like, oh, I can't go to the mall because what if there's a mass shooting? The other thing is everyone I know, they're armed. So if there's a mass shooter, at least they have a chance. You want to take away the chance and just let everybody be sitting ducks. So the question I have for Kamala is, are you able to take away guns from everybody who has committed a legitimate crime with one? I'm talking about murdered somebody. I'm talking about a human trafficker. I'm talking about gang members. Are you able to do that? Because if you can't, and then you disarm us, you understand that the only people with guns at that point are the people who are morally horrible people. You get that, right? And then what do you say to people? Oh, now you can go to the mall. Now you can go to the movie theater. Now you can go out in public with your kids and you're fine. You guys are so focused on us, and you fail to realize that the amount of crime, murders, rapes, shootouts every single day, but you don't even talk about that. You don't talk about it. You just go, oh man, these assault weapons, we got to get rid of them.
And let's talk about assault weapons for a moment. Assault weapons are weapons of war. Be clear about this. Assault weapons are designed to kill a lot of people quickly.
But you're thinking that you're just going to send a bunch of cops over to people's houses and people are going to be like, oh, okay, sure, here you go. Good luck.